right now I'm excited to welcome Chris Kline. Chris, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How about yourself, Tim?
I'm good. I'm good. How's it feeling with the volatility over there?
I love volatility. It's my favorite part of Bitcoin. I didn't have any gray hairs before this all started, so it's given me age and wisdom. I call this side age, this side wisdom.
Okay. I love it. I don't know that we've had the opportunity to connect. Can you I'm curious, but I'm sure a lot of other people are, kind of your background, your journey to Bitcoin and setting up everything that you've been doing for quite a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually in your offices in New York in mid-October. I'm a good friend of Pomp and Phil and everybody, and so they said, "Yeah, I got to meet Tim." And then randomly, I found out that you were going to be interviewing me today for this awesome conference that you guys have put together.
That's the
So I
power.
was thrilled.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's the
absolutely.
power of Ed, right? He's just
That's
connecting
Ed
everyone.
Julian, and you know Ed was an original client of ours. I think he was in the first 100. He's a great guy, so he's put together some great things. So my journey into Bitcoin, I was sitting in the alternative retirement space since 2012, mostly focused on other alternatives like precious metals, real estate, LLCs. Heck, we even have some guys that actually own John Deere tractors in their retirement account, and they lease them out to local farmers. And then in 2015, my partner and CEO, Camilo, came to me and said, "Hey, I just got back from this conference and a lot of folks are talking about this Bitcoin thing. What do you know about it?" And I said, "What? Bit what?" And so I went down my orange pill rabbit hole moment, and I fell in love instantly. The minute I read the white paper, and really where I fell in love as a kid from the 80s, 1985 is when I was born. I've lived through a lifetime of abundance driven by a monetary supply. And once I saw the halving concept, where I wouldn't say the word punish, but we are definitely constricting supply via a mechanism, which is, I think, ideal for a finite asset. Once I saw that part, I just fell in love and went straight to work and saying, okay, I've got to figure out a way to put this inside of a retirement account. And this was just about 10 years ago now. And since then, we started in meager beginnings, $50,000 at a time of clients coming in wanting to add diversification to their retirement portfolio with cryptocurrency. And now we're up to, before this pullback, we were at about $12 billion in assets under custody. Might be a little below that at 86,000 and about 200,000 users.
Wow. How do you explain Bitcoin IRA in like the quick pitch when someone's just like, well, what do you do? And then maybe adjacent to that would be like, what's like the most common question, or the most common, like, explain this to me in simple terms because I really am interested, but I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, no, I think the easiest way to explain it is that we have retirement tools, right? So people are familiar with 401ks. If you're a nurse or a teacher or work for the government, you might know 403bs, 457s, TSPs. What we did is we opened up the conduit so that instead of just buying stocks, bonds, mutual funds through those accounts or any IRA account, you were able to utilize the power of cryptocurrency. And the reason our name is Bitcoin IRA was when we launched it, Bitcoin was the only one. Now there's thousands, right? In fact, I think we have 87. So a quick pitch is I'm at the intersection of retirement and cryptocurrency. And most of the time, like today, I went and had some breakfast and somebody saw my vest that I have on and they're like, where do I get one of those? Because most people understand Bitcoin. Sadly enough, most folks don't understand IRA, which scares me, but it's true. Recent study came out, 50% of Americans don't participate in any retirement plan. And so we're in a retirement crisis in America, whether we want to admit it or not. And so our goal as Bitcoin IRA is to help more Americans retire. And to do that, you're going to need more than just stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You're going to need alternatives. Bitcoin being at the epicenter of that. And then I think the biggest thing I always try to explain to folks is, if you, especially this audience today, the digital currency or the digital treasury conference, you're already believers in Bitcoin. So the real essence here is, if you use the tax advantage settings, if you're an American, like a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, so that those gains that you see in cryptocurrency over the years ahead can be tax deferred or ultimately tax free. which is the ultimate goal through this. We've got some of our original clients, one of them being Ed Moy, the former director of the United States Mint. They were getting in triple digit Bitcoin levels. So we're talking less than $1,000. And they're thrilled because they've now stacked up those sats in seeing that growth, and they'll take distribution at some point in their retirement age at zero to next to no taxes, as opposed to if you and I bought it outside and just grabbed it and put it on Coinbase. Someday we're going to sell that off, and we're going to have to ante up 25 to 30% capital gains taxes to the government for those investments.
Makes sense. Which states, countries, jurisdictions are you operating in, and any plans or thoughts there?
Yeah, so we're American based, so we have all 50 states in the union. It's expansion. IRAs are and 401ks, and the way the retirement strategy works is very unique to every individual nation. So like Canada has, and I think UK has what's called RSPs, retirement savings plans. We're not doing any of those things, and then there are several countries that don't really have they do the opposite. The government is your retirement plan, right? Where actually Social Security works or pensions work. Those are a little different than the United States. So we're strictly a U.S. based business, and support people throughout all 50 states as well as the Commonwealths like Puerto Rico, et cetera.
Got it. I guess I kind of want to ask, like, what's the most underappreciated part of what you do, or is it really like, nope, it's that straightforward, but it's just kind of spreading the word and the awareness and the education around it?
I would say you're probably right there. I never feel like anything we do is underappreciated. We've behind me is Wall Street Journal back in 2016 when it blew their minds, and the reporter was like, "This doesn't make sense." And I'd love to talk to him today and be like, "I think it made some sense." And in front of me is when we were in Forbes. So I feel very appreciated about what we've done. We've truly changed people's lives and their retirement strategies. If there was an underappreciated component to, and I think this is really hits the hammer on the nail on the head with the hammer for your audience today, is the essence and this, I think, the necessity of security. Especially like we're dealing with people's retirement accounts. We have a few folks that have like $40-50 million, but most of them are between $200 to $1 million account size, right? And those, they didn't start that way; they built up that way. But the appreciation for the necessity of security is huge, especially as groups are looking at corporate treasuries or individual treasuries, LLCs, S corps, individual businesses. They want to kind of take the strategy from Microstrategy, now known as Strategy, from Saylor, and apply it to their world. At the end of the day, you really have to pick the right partners and work with the right companies that I think are dedicated to security. It's never ending. We have been through, we actually have a 30% of our technical roadmap every single quarter since 2015 is dedicated to adding more to what I call our Pentagon of custody, more layers of protection to not only protect your crypto in its nest egg or within its cold storage wallet, and you could do obfuscations. I call it salt and peppering, geographic breaking apart of keys, all those things. But then there's also, you have to protect yourself from yourself, right? You have to protect from internal fraud in your business. You have to protect from SIM swaps, email hacks. Now with AI coming full force, you have to constantly be ahead of the evolution of the attacker. The attacker is trying all kinds of new things, and they're using AI to their advantage. So I think if there's one thing that's underappreciated that I'd like to hit home for the audience today is make sure whoever you are working with, and I would work with partners to help put together your treasury, whether it's your individual one at an IRA sense, or if it's a corporate one that's larger, take the steps for security, because I hear horror stories all the time. Somebody that's on a ledger device and they get an AI call of somebody that somehow can, whatever it might be, and then and within pardon you held for 5-10 years, maybe even longer. So I think the big thing for me with crypto is the underappreciation of the necessity of security.
Got it. When you hear the phrase, I'm rolling over my IRA, can you explain what that is? How long does it take? Is it like a terrible process or is it like a nothing burger?
So there's 3 ways you can fund an IRA account. You can do a contribution, which is, we all have the ability. If you're under 50, 7,500. If you're over 50, you can do up to 8,000. And the way we do that is we just help you link your bank account and move money like a Plaid connection. That's easy. The second is a transfer, where you have an existing IRA at, say, Fidelity, Edward Jones, somewhere like that, and you want to transfer a portion of it over. And that's just filling out some paperwork that directs to that custodian, say, hey, I want to move this money over. A rollover is where you're actually taking a employee sponsored plan and you're turning it into a retirement, an IRA vehicle. And so that's like, if I have an old 401k, 403b, 457 TSP, you're rolling it over into a retirement account, an IRA account, individual retirement account. It can be super painful. One of the things we're proud of is we have real crypto, real people. And so we actually will help folks fill out the TSP paperwork, known as the T70, make the phone call to Fidelity and request the check the way it needs to be made. It can be a painful process on your own, and some of the groups, like I've seen, I think the worst one I've saw in my career is the Louisiana State Pension took 90 days to roll over a pension into an IRA. But most of the time, it's within a couple of days that you're issued the check and you deposit it in the right place. A big thing to remember is there are $2.3 trillion that are left behind right now in old 401ks, 043Bs. And I always kind of joke, it's like leaving your favorite hoodie at your ex-girlfriend's house. You just don't leave it behind. A lot of folks forget that, hey, I actually worked there and my company contributed, I matched, or whatever it might have been. And that's money that's left behind. And most 401ks, most employer-sponsored plans are very simple in their investment strategy. So it's like A funds, B funds, C funds. So if you have $3,000, odds are in 10 years you're going to have $3,000 because there's not a lot of risk-on assets or other opportunities available. There are tools outside of Bitcoin IRA. If you are thinking, hey, I might have a 401k sitting somewhere, but I can't remember, I don't have the paperwork. One of my favorites is a company called Beagle, like the dog. And what it does is it hunts down, you give it some personal information, and you go hunt down any 401ks or old employee plans that are in your name that have been left behind.
Got it. And just briefly, can we touch on custody? Like, where's all this stuff kept, or is it just depends on kind of where it came from, or how does that
No, it's
work?
all with me. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Perfect.
I'm just kidding. No, early on back in 2015, I knew I had to find the best of breed partners. So I had the privilege of meeting Mike Belshi from BitGo over 15 years ago. They were the first ones in the multi-signature world. They were the first ones thinking about all the layers of security you need for this. So we partnered with them exclusively for retirements. And so your assets are held in a BitGo wallet with multiple layers of security, multiple key indicia of ownership spread around. And then the way that the system is set up, like it includes a video verification call in order for you to move money outside of the ecosystem or outside your wallet. It allows us to get up to $250 million of insurance per wallet, and which is a market leader, industry leader. So that's your security custody. Your administrative custody is our vertically integrated bank and trust company known as Digital Trust, which is regulated by the state of Nevada, FID. So we basically check all the same boxes as like Fidelity or Edward Jones. We're just, instead of holding paper stock assets, we're holding cryptocurrency inside of wallets. And we're working really hard right now to expand into the tokenized asset world for 26. So whether it's real world assets, stocks, or other things, you'll see them ideally by about this time next year, all living right alongside your cryptocurrency wallets and those assets as well. But that's the main breakdown. There's the security element with BitGo, and then there's the administrative component with our vertically integrated custodian.
Got it. Let's zoom way out to macro, because
Okay.
people, the producer's telling me that macro really well. What's going on, and how do you think through, like, I think it was Saylor might have said, retail brought us from $0 to 100,000 or wherever we are right now, but it's the big banks that are probably going to take us from 100,000 to 1,000,000. I guess, would you agree with that? And how do you think through, like, retail, corporate, institutional, nation state, and anything I might be missing?
They're all very critical, especially in this ecosystem. I think the beginnings of the institutional player was post January of last year when the ETFs came out. But that's a paper version of Bitcoin, and it has helped us with these inroads, right? Hey, okay, Bitcoin feels just like buying a stock or a mutual fund, so it's easy, click, click. Or if you're an institution that doesn't want to go through the paperwork and the process to build a real treasury around it, it was an easy way to say, hey, we have some Bitcoin on our balance sheet. I think what you're seeing happen now at the let's start nation state level, which really started picking up speed in Nashville's Bitcoin conference last year, not this one that was in Vegas, but the one before, where there was a lot of conversation about reserve for the U.S. You also already had El Salvador jumping in. You've got Zimbabwe, Argentina. It's interesting to me that the dynamic is those that are in the most trouble with their fiat currency seem to be the first to adopt at these levels, which I think is really interesting. So zooming out there, I'd say the nation states, and I think it's also important to remember that these institutions, whether it's Harvard was a really big announcement. This I think Monday they announced that since June they've tripled the holdings of their IBIT, and they've also doubled their holdings of their gold. And I mean, I didn't get accepted to Harvard. I got into Princeton, but I couldn't afford it. But I'm sure there's some pretty smart folks over there at Harvard that are seeing something on the wall. They're saying, hey, we need to do these things. So macro wise, I think this down pull right now, if I'm an individual buyer like myself, I'm buying dips. I constantly DCA. If I'm a corporate buyer, this is a great time to accumulate and start building out that portfolio. Now, what will be interesting is two things in the next 60 days, 90 days, I suppose. So 2 weeks from now, we will supposedly be turning off QT, right? Quantitative tightening is supposed to be over with.
Just turn it off.
Apparently, I don't even know if we ever turned it on entirely, to be honest. I mean, are we printing at the exponential levels that we did in COVID? No. But did we ever stop some of the things that are considered quantitative easing? I like when you look at the monetary supply chart, I just can't believe that. So you have that happening in the next couple of weeks, and will that go from a headwind to a tailwind instantly? Absolutely not. But Bitcoin and some other risk on assets have very big sales, right? So if even a little bit of wind can do some pretty amazing things. I did call. So last year when I was in Nashville, it was at 52,000 or 60,000. And I said, we're going to hit 100K by Christmas Day. And I was a week off. And I didn't anticipate it to run all the way to where it did and then fall back in the first quarter. This year in April, after the fallback in Q1, I was very bold and bullish, and I stated that I think we could hit 180 Bitcoin before the end of the year. Obviously, when we were sitting at 126 about a month ago, I looked like a genius. Today, sitting at 86, 85, I'll eat crow that we're not in a silo. Where was my prediction didn't exactly include a government shutdown. It didn't include a lot of other things. But truth be told, if you've been in this game long enough, I remember Thanksgiving to Christmas of 2017. We went from less than $5,000 to over $22,000 in a matter of 3 weeks. I'm not saying that that's going to happen again, but that's where the institutional play is somewhat of a foundation in this space. It's a legitimacy now, but the retail play is not dead. Anybody that says the retail, we're only at what 3% adoption in the United States right now of individual households holding Bitcoin. I'm about to go sit down at a Thanksgiving table. So is everybody in this conference, and people are going to be asking. You're going to have the uncle that says Bitcoin's dead. You're going to have the aunt that wants to be involved in it, and you're going to have the younger kids really love it. Like they're very big on it. The retail play is nowhere near dead. In fact, I saw a shirt today on Twitter that said it was like the Bitcoin chart, and it said Bitcoin dead and revived since 2009. And I like that. So it's not going anywhere. And what happens is, unfortunately, this is the time where retail buyers should be jumping in. These are the moments. We were at 126, now we're at 86. This is the crypto gods are giving you an opportunity. But it will take before it goes to 130, and then the FOMO kicks in. And that's just the nature of the retail buyer. As much as I try to put the megaphone out there and bang on the Bible and say, this is the time to do it, they're not going to listen until greed kicks in, right? There's fear and greed that drive retail.
Well, there's fear, there's greed, and there's Ed Julien. I think he has a question for you before we wrap up today.
Yeah, hey, Ed, how are you, buddy?
Good, Chris.
Oh, that's a good-looking quarter zip right there. That's bright orange.
Yeah, you like that? And then
I like that. I'm going to steal that idea. I got a white one. I like that too. I was
Tim Cosman shirt underneath.
I love Tim's tie, man. You actually kind of look like a Denver Broncos executive. I'm a Broncos fan from Denver, so.
Yeah, I remember. Let's see. This would have been 2016, and I said, "Yep, I'm rolling it over to the Bitcoin IRA," and it was at 4,000, and immediately went to 3,000. And I'm like, ready to call Chris's team and say, I made a mistake. Give it back to me at 4,000. And it turned out okay until the point at which I was just always either in ETH or in Bitcoin. No, I shouldn't say this. And I just got it wrong. And I called Chris. I'm like, I think I can do this better on my own. I'm going to put it somewhere else. And I wish Chris would have said, no, sorry, you can't move it. Because I found different ways to screw it up, which we all do. But no, your team has just been absolutely amazing. There were 15, 16, and there's just so many bumps in the road of who we could trust and, who knew how to manage all this. And, some people are comparing now these treasury companies to like FTX and sell stuff like, no. We go through this every time, but it's all just TradFi tricks built on top of Bitcoin, right?
Yep.
And you're up to how many different coins?
We're at 87, and I just got off the call with my compliance officer. We're going to hit 100 in the first quarter. So we'll have 100 different tokens or currencies available next year.
You're not letting people put their retirement into Fartcoin, are you?
No, sir, that is not on the list.
Okay. As a joke, so my wife's IRA, I would just put in the 6,500 or whatever it was per year. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna put hers in Solana, right? And now she's got like 240 grand in her damn retirement account from those.
Does she say thank you?
She doesn't even know, right?
Well, she does now.
and then we did one for my son when you still, we're cool with the small accounts, and he's got half a Bitcoin, so he's 17 with half a Bitcoin in his retirement account. I'm telling him, I'm like, when you meet girls, you should tell them, say, hey, I've got a half a Bitcoin retirement account. And in 48 years, that could be yours too, right? So I didn't get a referral code from you, so we're going to have to trust you. But people just go to Bitcoin IRA and click do this, right?
Yeah, and we could get a link sent over for you guys to do like a recap to people. I know you guys are probably going to send some email drips. Also, you can still call the phone number. I think this is one of the things Ed loves the most is we had real human beings he could talk to. Yes, you can make a phone call. I've memorized the number. It's 877-936-7175. Make sure that you tell them that you heard about us from this conference because we have a special promotion for up to $1,000 in rewards. Plus, since it's Christmas time or the holiday season, you can get a nice little piece of swag from our store. We've got hoodies, we've got hats, we've got vests, we got quarter zips, we got everything as a gift for opening up an account before now until the end of the year. So, Ed, I would just want to say thank you so much for making sure that I was on this conference today. Tim, I can't wait to sit down in the studio with you next time I'm in New York. But I'm really excited. This is a day that it's hard to be bullish. But for me, I guess I can't help but be proud of what we've built and where we're going. The when in doubt, zoom out has always been my policy.
Yeah. No, Chris, you're one of the most humble macro guys out there when it comes to Bitcoin. You and I would get on a call to talk about something just minor about my account or something, and we'd spend an hour and a half talking about Bitcoin macro, and all those conversations from 15 and 16 and 17 seem so trivial now, right? It's like it was so silly. It's like, but we're going to be still talking about this 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
Yeah, the numbers just get bigger, but the pretense is the same. Is how I look at it, and it'll be very interesting to watch the next evolution. I think big thing for me, takeaway right now, this is not in a silo. We kicked the government shutdown can down the road 90 days. We're going to go through this again in February. Tariffs and those things are going to repeat as well next year. We're not getting a lot of clear government data. Not that I trust it, but we're not getting a lot of clear government data on unemployment and those things. And I swim in. I'm a small fish in big fish circles, and I know that there's a lot of defensive nature for large corporations right now. And I think it's a combination of they're cutting waste, but then they're also thinking what to do with their treasury. And I hope that they're here at this conference today listening on how to get these things done and how to approach these things, because you could work really hard as a businessman. I mean, I started from the bottom. Now we're here, and we have a treasury ourselves as a business. And if I had that sitting in US dollars just this year alone, I lost purchasing power. Even with Bitcoin relatively flat, I feel much better and I sleep well at night knowing that I've got the future, my future. And just like Ed, your child, Isabella, I think you've seen her a few times on some videos. She started her Roth IRA when she was 5, and she's now set for college. She's got Bitcoin and Ethereum in there. She's 11. If she wants to go to college, she's ready. Otherwise, maybe she'll come build a business with you and me. Yeah,
exactly. Well, it's shocking how many Bitcoiners I meet that when they talk about their Bitcoin stack, and I'm like, in your IRA, and they're like, oh no, that's still, in equities or stocks or something, and I'm like, So you're not really in. They don't get it. They're like, well, I can't risk my retirement. And I'm like, yeah,
That's
it's
the
weird.
piece I want the most risky. I don't know about you, but what is sitting in my savings account, I might need in 6 months. What's sitting in my retirement account, I'm not going to need for 40 more years, if that. And that's where I want to take the biggest risk, have the most longest timetable to make the gains that I anticipate. I know, remember when Ed and I met, now it's been almost almost a decade, right?
Yeah.
And everybody thought I was, not Ed and others, like he's one of my, I call him the engine nerds, like NASA scientists, IBM scientists. These are my guys and gals. They believed right away, but I had to be like, are you crazy, kid? Bitcoin and a retirement? I'm like, are you crazy that you're not thinking that that's what you should be doing with your retirement? We're built of safety, safety, safety. Be conservative with my retirement, be conservative. But that's actually why we have a retirement crisis on our hands today. We need to retire comfortably. If you're my age, which I'm just turned 40, you're going to need to stack up somewhere between $1.8 to $2.5 million to retire comfortably at the rate where monetary supply and inflation are going. And I can't think of any other way to do that at $8,000 a year without using something like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, et cetera. So.
Yeah. I've got my inherited IRA, which I'm getting RMDs on. I'm only a few years away from the other RMDs, and it's just going to go straight back into Bitcoin. But I get it out tax free because of the Roth, and it's once you get it, then you're like, oh well, this just makes absolute sense. And you can have your IRA over at Fidelity or any of these other companies, and you're going to talk to a different person every time. When you call Bitcoin IRA, you're talking to the same person every time, and they email right away. So, our follower base here, Tim and I, it's a bunch of high net worth individuals that are looking for people they can trust, and so I vouch for Chris and Bitcoin IRA as a very personal company that you can trust, and we're going to be doing some more stuff here in the future. So I'm hoping at least a few people decide to call that number or go to your website and make sure you tell them you came from Kotzman. Say Kotzman, because we're getting a kickback, and we need that kickback.
And I think, Tim, I'm going to be on your show next time I'm in New York in early next year. So I'm looking forward to sitting down and diving in a little bit more macro with you as well. I've heard some amazing things about you from both Phil and both the Pomp brothers, John and Adam, or Anthony.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris.
Hey, thank you guys. You have a wonderful rest of the day. And while it bleeds, that's when I'm buying more Bitcoin. So go DCA.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
When it comes to holding Bitcoin securely, peace of mind starts with architecture. OnRamp's multi-institution custody model distributes control across 3 independent, regulated key holders in a 2 of 3 multi-sig quorum. No single point of failure. No pooled or omnibus exposure. Just segregated, client-titled vaults. You retain full legal ownership while OnRamp coordinates security, compliance, and operational workflows behind the scenes. It's the strength of many, delivered through the simplicity of one. MIC is the foundation for everything OnRamp builds. Sound infrastructure that distributes counterparty risk and provides fault-tolerant resilience with clear audits and institutional controls. And now, OnRamp is piloting flat, predictable pricing, making best-in-class Bitcoin custody and financial services more accessible than ever. OnRamp. Strength in many, simplicity in one. Visit onrampbitcoin.com to learn more. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Stampseed. If you're in cold storage, you know how important it is to protect your seed phrase. That's why I recommend you head over to stampseed.com and check it out for yourself. This seed phrase storage device is one solid piece of titanium. There are no loose pieces, and you can hammer your seed phrase in letter by letter. When you go to stampseed.com, use promo code TIM15 for a 15% discount across the website. That's TIM15. Join us at The Win in Las Vegas, February 23rd through the 26th, 2026 for Bitcoin for Corporations. Use code KOTZ when you grab your tickets at strategy.com, and we'll see you there. This episode is brought to you by Arch Lending, the premier provider of crypto-backed loans designed for both individual and institutional investors. At Arch, your digital assets work for you without selling them. Arch offers flexible loan options tailored to your needs. Backed by industry leaders like Morgan Creek Digital, Castle Island Ventures, and Galaxy Ventures, Arch Lending is setting a new standard in crypto-backed lending. Are you ready to unlock the potential of your crypto assets? Visit archlending.com to learn more and configure your loan today. Are you looking for comprehensive analytics on corporate Bitcoin adoption? Strategy Tracker delivers real-time insights into how companies are executing their Bitcoin strategies completely free. Monitor NAV premiums, cost basis performance, and track how corporate Bitcoin treasuries perform against the market. Upgrade to Premium for just $3.99 a month and unlock exclusive benefits like detailed market rankings, real-time trading volume analysis, and advanced performance metrics for corporations embracing Bitcoin. Apply code KOTZ at checkout for 100% off your first month of Premium. Strategy Tracker is your essential tool for measuring the effectiveness of corporate Bitcoin strategies. Visit strategytracker.com and gain the analytical edge in understanding the Bitcoin treasury phenomenon.